Hey everyone, welcome to r/entitled parents, where we get an up-close look at the darker side of parenthood. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got some stories for you. Mother-in-law steals credit card and upset when caught. Obligatory, I'm on mobile. Too long didn't read at bottom. Backstory. My husband and I have now been married almost 18 years. My mother-in-law is the most entitled choosing beggar I've ever known. I have many stories, so if y'all like this one, I'll add more. First time posting, be nice please. Cast. Me equals mythical entity. H equals hubby. EP equals mother-in-law. When my now husband and I were engaged, he had one credit card that he used for emergencies or small things. We were buying a house and getting married, so he paid it off so we would have it if needed for the house. All good. Nope. Statement for the card came in and showed thousands of dollars in purchases, including Disney World tickets for 3 with all the accoutrements. Stereo system, clothes, computer and desk, several semesters of college for one of his younger brothers, and more. He was ticked. Called the credit card company and they stated it was out on his second card. He tried to explain he didn't have a second card. That's when they revealed that he had signed for a second card on his application. Hint, he didn't. Apparently, EP saw him put application in the mailbox. He lived on grandparents' farm that had a main house and a few trailers for family to live in. Once he left, she opened it, marked for a second card for herself, and put it back. So, prior to our engagement, husband was paying almost all of mother-in-law's expenses, as he was the oldest of 5 and felt responsible for them. Dad divorced and stepdad left. Once we became engaged, especially once I became pregnant, he told mother-in-law he couldn't anymore as he had his own family to care for now. Mother-in-law did not take this well. She took that second card and took 2 siblings to Disney World and everything else listed above. Husband stormed into mother-in-law's kitchen and demanded the card. Some is paraphrased, as this happened a while ago, but this is mostly how it went down. Husband: give me the credit card now. Mother-in-law: what card are you talking about? Faked confused expression. Husband: the one you signed for yourself and just spent thousands on. Mother-in-law: oh, I was going to wait until your birthday and give it to you as a present, and well, now you ruined it. She wanted more time to go shopping. Husband: I'll bet. Give it now. Mother-in-law: but... Husband: now. Mother-in-law hands over the card grudgingly, and hubby promptly cuts it up, making her very upset. He tells her that was supposed to help us through with the house, wedding, and pregnancy. We decided to go for the trifecta. And now we were thousands in debt and she needed to pay us back. Mother-in-law: I don't have that kind of money. I'm your mother and you need to help me. Husband: I have my own family now. Mother-in-law: we are your family. Husband: payment now. So mother-in-law called in his youngest sister and youngest brother, who was developmentally delayed, to write husband a check for $100 from each of their accounts to pay for their trip to Disney World, and gave us another $100 in loose pennies. We never got another dime. Had to wrap pennies every day for a week to return them, before change machines available and bank only took wrapped, signed, and dated. Fast forward 3 years, she comes over to our tiny 2-bedroom apartment and tells husband, what happened? You used to be so good with money. I had to get in front of him and told her to leave before she got hurt. Never saw him so angry in my life. So that is how we ended up with $10,000 in credit card fees, including late fees. He wouldn't press charges because it was his mom. I have so many more stories too. Too long didn't read, mother-in-law got second card off account and went on a $10,000 shopping spree in retaliation for hubby getting engaged. Whoa. Talk about zero boundaries. I think it's time to distance yourselves from this one. Entitled mother wants me to buy her 8-year-old a pair of $800 skates and a new hockey stick. Happy ending. Just last week I had gotten a raise at work for accepting a new position that also came with a nice bonus. Now, being in my early 20s and loving hockey and gaming, I decided my bonus on gaming gear and new hockey equipment. I had just come out of the tech store in my local mall with a new Razer keyboard and a Blue Yeti microphone. I walked to the other end of the mall and went into the store where they sell sports equipment, apparel, and shoes. I instantly go over to browse the skates as mine are going on 5 years old now and are beginning to hurt my feet. I pick up the ones that are the newest model of skate that are the same brand as the ones I had. The skates were valued at around $1,000. Now there was a small child looking at the junior versions of the skates that were around $800. Spoiled child.
Mommy, I want these skates.
Entitled mother. No, sweetie, you need skates and a stick, so I can't afford to buy you those skates. Spoiled child.
But Mommy, those skates are the best ones.
While this exchange was going on, I had an employee go to get the size that I needed for my skates, and began to browse the new sticks they had in stock. Spoiled child.
Mommy, can I please get these skates?
Entitled mother.
No, I'll buy you these skates, but that's as much as I'll spend on skates.
As she points to a $200 pair of skates. The employee had brought my skates out for me to try on and make sure they were the right fit, at which point EM makes eye contact with me. I ignore it, and after taking the skates off, I grab the stick I wanted and go to pay. Now after I pay for my skates and stick, they ask me if I want my skates molded, to which I say yes. This is where the exchange between myself and entitled mother begins. I have my stick next to me with a bag wrapped around it to show it was paid for, and I currently have the hot skates on my feet to begin the molding process. Entitled mother.
Excuse me, can you help me?
Me. Sure, what do you need? Entitled mother.
My son really wants the same skates you have, but we can't afford them. Can you buy them for him?
Me. Sorry, man, but I worked very hard at my job to be able to afford these new skates. Entitled mother.
But he really wants them. He's really good at hockey, and I feel like he deserves them.
Me. You can feel like he deserves them, but I still won't be buying your kid any hockey gear. I really can't afford to buy anything else above what I've already purchased. Entitled mother.
How about you buy him the same stick you bought for yourself?
The stick is about $300 for the senior model, while the junior model is around $220. Me. No, I can't afford to buy anything else today. Entitled mother then sees my tech store bag.
How about you return those things that you bought at tech store and use the money from those to buy him the stick, so I can buy him the skates?
You're too old to be buying things like that anyways. Me. I'm not returning anything or buying anything for your kid. Then I looked to the kid for a brief moment who seemed visibly upset. You don't need the best gear to be the best, buddy. All you need is to want to be great. Entitled mother.
What would you know about being the best? You're not the best, so why do you need the best gear when you could be helping me?
It was at this point that the manager stepped in. And just so you guys know, the manager and I actually know each other as we play in the same league. And I played on a few teams with his younger brother growing up, and he went on to play professionally. Manager. What seems to be the problem? Entitled mother.
My boy wants these skates and this stick, but he won't help me get them.
Manager. Well, ma'am, I'm sorry, but he doesn't have to help you. It's not his obligation to buy your kid anything. Entitled mother.
He says you don't need the best gear while he's buying the best gear, when he could have not and helped me. He probably only wants the skates because they're the most expensive.
Me. Actually, I wanted the skates because it's the only company that has skates that hold up for a few years. But for that, you gotta pay extra. The kid then starts to cry. Entitled mother.
You made my baby cry. I'm calling the police.
The entitled mother then calls the police and they show up relatively quick. Police officer. What seems to be the problem? Entitled mother.
He took the stick out of my baby's hands and shoved him to the ground so he could buy it instead.
Now it's worth noting that the stick is actually bigger than the child, and I've been sitting on the bench with the skates on for the last 10 minutes. Police officer. Is this true? Me. No, she's been harassing me to buy her son skates and a stick using my hard-earned money because he deserves it. Police officer. Can we check the tapes? Manager. Sure. The police checked the tapes and the mother was arrested for false calls, and to find out she had 5 unpaid tickets and a failure to appear charge as well. Just last night I saw the kid at the arena with his dad. Now we play in a league where tickets are sold for the game, but us players can have VIPs, meaning they get into the game for free and they get free drinks and food at the arena during the game. The kid was on the ice wearing the skates he wanted and the stick he wanted in his hands. As they got off the ice, I stopped the kid and his father and mentioned that I was the one that basically got mother arrested. To which the father smiled and thanked me, as he had been trying to get custody for the last year and a half since her DUI charge. I offered my VIP tickets to the father and his son, to which they gladly accepted, and I don't think I've ever seen a kid so happy. I thought you guys would enjoy a story that may not be as interesting as half the stories I've read on here, but definitely felt it was worth sharing given the way it ended. Edit. Because it has been requested, these are the skates I got. Wow, I don't know anything about skates or hockey or that kind of stuff, but those look expensive. They look good though. I like them. Buy a bigger house for my family. Hello again. Since everyone was so interested in my entitled aunt's antics, here's a bizarre one. My parents both came from very humble beginnings. When me and my brother were young, my parents could only afford a rented 2-bedroom apartment where the walls were so thin you could hear your neighbors breathing. But my parents were hardworking and were saving money to buy their own house. The year I hit puberty was when they were finally able to settle on a house. It was a beautiful 4-bedroom house with a little front garden, a backyard, large living room, a small utility room, and even a little basement. It was a gorgeous house that was way beyond our budget. The only reason we were able to afford it was because it belonged to my dad's friend, who had recently encountered a tragedy and wanted the house gone as soon as possible, so he gave a large discount on it. Even before the deal was done, my mom in her happiness had informed our relatives about the house and sent them pictures and videos. Somehow, entitled aunt and her family got wind of it and came to visit the house when we were talking about the possible renovations. She took a round of the entire house and then this hilarity ensued. EA equals entitled aunt. M, my mom. D, dad. Entitled aunt. Hey mom, the house looks beautiful. Mom. Thank you, it is gorgeous. Entitled aunt. Yeah, but I was wondering, isn't it a bit small though? Mom. What do you mean? I think it's an ideal house. Entitled aunt. Oh really? But how is everyone going to fit in? If 2 bedrooms are taken by us adults, then what about the children? Do you expect my entitled kids to share rooms with their cousins? But there isn't enough space to accommodate them all. My babies deserve their own rooms too. You obviously haven't thought this through. This house just won't do. Get another house which is big enough for all of us. Why didn't you talk to me before deciding on this crap hole? Unbelievable. We were all speechless. My brother, who was very quick to anger, had already started cursing under his breath. But my parents were still gaping at entitled aunt, who was in turn looking at them as if they were idiots. My uncle and entitled kids were silently watching the scene unfold. Dad. Entitled aunt, this house is not small. It's big enough for all the people who will be living in it eventually. Entitled aunt. What are you talking about? How is it not small? We're a family of 8 people. There are only 4 bedrooms. Even 6 bedrooms would be okay. Can you not do simple math? Were you thinking of stuffing us in the basement? How are you not understanding this? Get another house. I was growing angrier and even more shocked by the second. The audacity of this woman. Not only was she demanding to live in our house, she was also insulting my parents. My mom had had enough, so she went on a long rant on entitled aunt. I don't remember what she said exactly, but it was brutal. By the end of it, entitled aunt was in tears sobbing, with, "We're family," and "small house" falling from her lips every so often. My mom threw them out of the house. The deal was settled, and we set about making plans for the renovations. About 2 weeks later, before we were set to move in, we get a call from our grandpa that he was coming to the house for a visit. We were a little surprised as he was never interested in matters like these, but we welcomed him nonetheless and gave him the address. Grandpa came with entitled family. We were already anticipating a disaster. After exchanging pleasantries, my grandpa straight away said that what we had done to entitled aunt and her family was wrong, and we should be a bit more accommodating and respectful. Smelling something fishy, my mom asked him to explain why he thought what we did was wrong. He told us how entitled aunt had called him a few days ago and complained to him. She told him that my parents had promised the entitled family that we were all going to live together and they would buy a house big enough for all of us, But now my parents were going back on that promise as they didn't want the poor family living with them. My parents had enough of entitled aunt's BS and quickly set my grandpa straight. They told him that no such promises were made, only assumptions and entitlement on entitled aunt's part. After a lot of shouting and arguing, my dad said, "Fine, entitled aunt, you can live with us. We will even buy a bigger house which you select, but you have to pay half of the cost of the house." Entitled aunt: "What? Why should we pay for your house?" Dad: "So if it's our house, then why the heck are you demanding to live in it and dictating how the house should be? You have no rights to demand anything. You are not staying in our house if you don't pay for anything." Entitled aunt offered to pay the electricity, water, and utility bills, but no one had an ounce of trust in her, so she was firmly turned down. My dad told my grandpa not to get involved in the matter, which he was more than happy not to do, as he had only visited in the first place because entitled aunt wouldn't stop hounding him. So entitled aunt and her family were thwarted in their plans to get a free house, but boy did she complain about it. Every chance she got, she would complain and moan about how we're hateful people who didn't appreciate our family because they were poor. Gosh darn, that woman is crazy. Too long didn't read. Parents bought a new house. Entitled aunt demands a bigger home as it wouldn't accommodate her family. Entitled mommy:
"Don't buy chocolates, it's upsetting my kid."
This happened about an hour ago. I was grocery shopping and decided to pick up a few bars of chocolates. That's when I heard the ear-piercing scream of what can only be an entitled kid. He looked like he was somewhere between 5 and 6 years of age. He began to violently pull on his mother's arm, pointing at my chocolate bars and yelling at her to buy him some. Entitled mom:
"Did you have to pick that up in front of him?"
Me: what? Entitled mom:
"Can't you see it's upsetting my child?"
Me: well, that's a you problem. Entitled mom, in between trying to get her child to act like a human being:
"You need to put them back. My son only started demanding chocolates when he saw you take them. Just put them back now. You can get some later. You shouldn't make kids jealous."
I just smiled at her and approached the chocolate shelves. But instead of putting them back, I actually took a few more. It earned me a death glare from entitled mom, and earned entitled mom another round of tantrums from entitled kid. Petty? Yes. Satisfying? Heck yeah. Alright folks, that's all the stories we have for you today. If you like our content, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Have a great day.